Resident Evil 2 recently celebrated its 20th anniversary after launching on PlayStation 1 and PC back on the 21st of January 1998. Capcom has confirmed it's remaking the seminal horror sequel, so while we wait for concrete, brain-biting details on the upcoming Redux, we thought this was the perfect time to celebrate the original zombie-murdering masterpiece. Resi 2 follows the story of rookie cop Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield, sister to the original game's STARS agent Chris. With terrifying jump scares, mutated abominations that make the garden variety coffin dodgers look less threatening than a pug in a sailor suit, and crisscrossing campaigns, Resi 2 is still a terrifying treat. If you're looking for an excuse to replay this harrowing virtual horror, here are 9 reasons why Resident Evil 2 is still the best game in the series. Resi 2 is the pulp fiction of Capcom's storied horror franchise. Alright, so you don't get to see John Travolta boogieing down to Chuck Berry's teenage wedding, but it does serve up twin campaigns where the 2 lead characters' stories interlock throughout. There are actually 4 different playthrough scenarios in the game, with both Leon and Claire getting an A and B story to finish. Considering Resi 2 launched in 1998, these intertwining campaigns were seriously ambitious for the time. Different scenarios put you through radically different events, with the fiendish Mr. X acting as the prime antagonist in half of them and the mutated William Birkin in the others. Taking items from a shared locker in one scenario, like this zombie mincing machine gun, will also cutely screw over the other character in your next playthrough. Sorry, Leon. Even in 2018, few games offer the replay value of Resi 2 and its superb interlocking campaigns.
Head to the station. I'll meet you there.
Forget Spencer Mansion, Raccoon City's police precinct is the most spine-tingling location in Resi history. Like the original game's iconic haunted house, RCPD headquarters is a sprawling, labyrinthine structure that spans several levels. The precinct was originally an art museum. After it was converted, Umbrella secretly paid the chief of police, Brian Irons, to keep his corrupt mouth shut about the sinister subterranean labs beneath the pigpen. Although in fairness, taking bribes ranks pretty low on this demented popo's rap sheet. Whether you're fending off feral crows in gaming's peckiest corridor, flame grilling a giant moth in its secret underground laboratory, or fighting the long undead arm of the law in the main office, horror awaits around every corner in this petrifying precinct. Remember the end of Jaws, where Brody blows up the toothy menace by shooting a canister of compressed air the beast has just conveniently swallowed? Well, Resident Evil 2 has a moment exactly that awesome. Just swap out the shark for a 50-foot alligator. When Ada is ambushed in the Raccoon City sewers by the colossal reptile, Leon quickly comes to her aid. The T-virus may have made the gator abnormally large, but even Resi's fiendish zombie-spawning disease can't save its leathery host from an enormous explosion. After Kennedy cleverly lures the monster into a series of narrow maintenance tunnels, he knocks over a fuel canister, which the greedy predator soon scoffs. One well-placed shotgun blast later, and Big Al's top jaw gets blown to bits. Anyone fancy a bowl of undead alligator soup? No? Okay. Ada Wong is one of the most enigmatic butt-kickers in Resident Evil history, and it was Resi 2 that first introduced the backstabbing double agent. Leon initially meets Ada in a car park, and the pair quickly form an uneasy alliance. Wong tosses him a couple of key items after a brief playable cameo, and even helps Kennedy bandage a pesky gunshot wound. On the surface, Ada is in Raccoon City to find and save her boyfriend, an Umbrella scientist called John Clemes. But in reality, she's actually being paid by one of Umbrella's rival organizations to steal a sample of the G virus, the Big Fibber. Depending on which of Leon's 2 scenarios you play through, Wong will either come to a cropper after being stabbed by Mr. X, or when she's shot by Annette Birkin. Either way, Leon does not take her demise well. Thankfully, Ada doesn't actually bite the big one, and she'll pop up as a shadowy ally in the final Mr. X battle, throwing you a handy rocket launcher to help you take out the super tyrant. Ada, you're alright.
Don't make me shoot you.
Lickers are Resi 2's answer to the original game's hunters, only instead of dealing with razor-handed frogmen, Leon and Claire must instead battle with something that looks like a cross between a scalped Freddy Krueger and a skinless, scuttling Rottweiler. The first time you encounter one of these monstrous T-virus mutations is one of the great Resi moments. After walking through the halls of the RCPD headquarters, you quickly spot a shadowy figure shuffling past the window. Seconds later, Leon is greeted by the nearby noise of dripping blood before eventually encountering the elastic-tongued terror. With their off-putting raspy breath, scythe-like claws, and huge leap, lickers are the deadliest non-boss enemy in Resi 2. Their low centre of gravity also makes them a pain to hit, so if you see a licker, run. Run your zombie annihilating backside right off. And whatever you do, just don't dawdle while a licker's around. See? Not too long after the tongue-tastic encounter with Mr. Licker, Leon is ambushed by a group of undead arms that have serious issues with personal space. As jump scares go, the gruesomely grabby encounter is right up there with the window-smashing dog from the first game. After passing a large barricaded window you've already sauntered past several times without incident, things take a board-breaking turn for the terrifying. Even if you do wriggle out of the coffin dodger's ghoulish embrace, the next window you pass contains exactly the same overly touchy surprise. Turns out zombies give really terrible back rubs. Who knew? The T-00, or Mr. X, to his horribly mutilated murder victims, is Resi 2's most relentless enemy. Doggedly stalking our heroes through the entire game, old Trenchy McTrenchcoat is so ruthlessly dedicated to eliminating his enemies, he makes the Terminator look like a bit of a slacker. Mr. X was one of 6 genetically bred T-103 tyrants that Umbrella sent to Raccoon City to obtain a sample of the G virus. You first meet the towering stalker after he's airdropped into RCPD headquarters, whereby he proceeds to start slapping Claire or Leon about. Nothing can get in Mr. X's obsessively driven way. Not solid walls, not multiple grenade launcher blasts, not even a direct hit from a rocket launcher. Actually, that last one may slow him down just a smidge. Even though he ends up being rocketed to oblivion, he's such an effective antagonist, Capcom decided to base the entire core of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis around the concept of a monster who won't stop chasing you. Mr. X, we salute your stalkery style. William Birkin is Resident Evil 2's other big bad, and like Mr. X, he's homicidally committed to butchering Claire and Leon. In one of Leon's scenarios, the monstrous scientist attacks the cop and Ada Wong while the pair are riding a cable car. The subsequent set piece plays out as a viscera-smeared love letter to Terminator 2's stabby elevator scene. Thanks to his massive claws, Birkin can effortlessly cut through the cable car's ceiling, and unless you keep zipping around the carriage, Leon will get sliced to Raccoon City ribbons. And poor old Willie wasn't always a grotesquely disfigured tyrant. Before he became a monster blighted with a huge pulsating peeper that'd make even Sauron weep, Birkin was a brilliant researcher. Sadly, he's forced to inject his own G-virus sample during an attack by Umbrella mercenaries. Cue a super murdery transformation. 20 years on, and the blinking beastie remains one of Resi's greatest ever villains. And finally, we end this video celebrating Resident Evil 2's greatest contribution to video games, Leon's magnificent curtains. Kennedy's haircut is very much a product of the time. Resi 2 launched only a few months after Titanic sank the hearts of millions of moviegoers. And one look at Leon immediately brings memories flooding back of DiCaprio's doomed passenger. We'll never let go, Jack. The curtain look absolutely rocked late 90s culture. See David Beckham or Squall from Final Fantasy VIII, and Leo's haircut no doubt inspired Capcom's decision to make him Resident Evil 4's leading man. And if you're wondering where the inspiration for Kennedy's dated hairdo came from, apparently Capcom artist Asao Ahishi came up with the look after being inspired by his floppy-eared bloodhound. Honestly, it puts a new spin on Hair of the Dog.
What's up with that guy?
Resident Evil 2 may be 2 decades old, but as you've seen throughout this video, its brand of vintage, tyrant-taming survival horror has aged like the finest zombie wine. Let's hope the upcoming remake maintains the same campy charm and dripping sense of dread. Let us know in the comments whether you played Resi 2 when it was originally released, and if you'll be firing it back up after watching this video. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to Logitech G for more weekly content.